Long before modern civilization, dogs played roles far beyond being just household pets. Some excelled as hunters, others thrived as fishers, and a few were uniquely bred as guardians. While many of these amazing breeds have sadly gone extinct, their DNA lives on, showcasing talents that helped shape human history. From the mighty Molossus of ancient Greece to the powerful Turnspit Dog in old kitchens, these are the 15 extinct dog breeds that shaped the dogs we know today. Number 15, German Power Pounce. The Bullenbisser, which translates to Bullbisser, was a robust German hunting dog with roots tracing to the 16th century and possibly even back to 370 AD during Roman times. Built like mastiffs, these dogs hunted big game like wild boar, deer, and bulls, holding them down until the hunters arrived. There were two main types, the massive Danziger variety and the smaller Brabanter, which eventually gave rise to today's Boxer. With wide heads, muscular frames, and strong jaws, they looked like the ultimate blend of Boxer, Mastiff, and old-style Bulldog. They weren't just muscle, they were smart, loyal, and alert, making excellent guard dogs, too. The sizes of these dogs can range from 15 to 28 inches tall, and their weight spanned from 40 to 100 pounds. As hunting styles changed, smaller breeds became preferred. By the late 1800s, crossbreeding intensified. The Brabanter was refined into the Boxer by 1894, the larger Bullenbisser faded, and by World War II, the original pure breed had completely vanished. Number 14. The Ancient Eland. The Eland was a beast of a dog that carved its paw prints across canine history. Originating with the Eland, which is basically a nomadic warrior tribe from the Eurasian steppe, this dog is just brute strength. It was a multi-talented working breed that roamed through Europe, Central Asia, and the Middle East starting around the 4th century. These dogs were admired for their power, intelligence, and adaptability, used for everything from guarding livestock and hunting big game to marching into battle. There were three primary types: the Eland Basheri, a heavyweight war dog; the Eland Gentil, a lean greyhound-style hunter; and the Eland Vaillantre, with a bloodhound-like build. All of them shared one trademark: crushing jaws and unshakable courage. As the Eland moved across Europe, it began mixing with local breeds, eventually shaping today's English Mastiff, Dogo Argentino, Boxer, Great Dane, and Bulldog. You'll even find its influence in bull-type terriers and guardian breeds. By the 1600s, the original Eland had vanished, its blood diluted but not forgotten. But let's be real, this is one of the best dogs, isn't it? Number 13, Miniature Bulldog. The toy bulldog was a miniaturized version of the standard bulldog, bred in 18th and early 19th century England. Standing 10 to 14 inches tall and weighing around 8 to 15 pounds, they were produced through two main breeding paths: downsizing pure bulldogs, which caused fertility issues, or crossing bulldogs with smaller breeds like French bulldogs or pugs. The latter produced more viable pups, and several were even shown by the French Toy Bulldog Club of England. Despite their adorable stature, loose skin, and muscular frame, these dogs weren't bred for work. They were compact, affectionate companions meant for home life. However, the breed never secured official kennel club recognition. By the early 20th, interest dropped and exports to France further thinned English stock. The toy bulldog quietly disappeared around 1925, but it didn't vanish without influence. Its genes helped shape the French bulldog and contributed to today's miniature bulldogs, small, stylish, and lively dogs rooted in this extinct pioneer. Number 2. Ancient Guardian Titan. The Molossus, also called the Molossian Hound or Papyrus Mastiff, was a colossal breed from ancient Epirus dating between 500 and 300 BC. Famed across the Greco-Roman world for their size, loyalty, and power, they were so respected that they appeared on Molossian coins and were written about by Aristotle, Virgil, and others. Standing around 2 to 2.2 feet at the shoulder and weighing between 100 to 200 pounds, these dogs could tower over grown men when on their hind legs. They were the original guard and war dogs, trusted by Roman legions to protect estates and defend soldiers. Legends claim Alexander the Great's own dogs traced to this line. Their physical dominance and guarding instinct influenced breeds all over Europe. English Mastiffs, Neapolitan Mastiffs, Dog de Bordeaux, Tibetan Mastiffs, Rottweilers, Great Danes, all carry a piece of the Molossus. They weren't lost overnight. Over centuries, the breed was absorbed into others, but their huge legacy still breathes through today's towering protectors. Number 11. The White Beast. The brave and beautiful English White Terrier made its name in mid-1800s Victorian Britain as a sleek, show-stopping terrier bred solely for appearance. Small, clean-lined, and all-white with erect ears, it stood around 10 to 15 inches tall and weighed roughly 10 to 20 pounds. Though it dazzled judges and dog show crowds between the 1860s and 1890s, the breed had no real function outside aesthetics. It struggled with genetic deafness and poor health issues made worse by relentless inbreeding to preserve its spotless coat. Despite its elegant vibe, the breed proved too fragile for work and unreliable even as a pet. Some litters had both prick-eared and drop-eared pups, throwing off breed consistency. The Kennel Club eventually dropped recognition, and by the late 1890s, it slipped out of existence. But its DNA still echoes. The English White Terrier played a very important role in shaping today's Bull Terrier, Boston Terrier, Sealyham Terrier, and even the Great Jack Russell, a vanished breed that still left its mark. Number 10. The Sniffing Legend. If you've ever watched a beagle trail a scent like it's reading a story, thank the Talbot Hound for that. This floppy-eared snow-white hound first appeared around the 11th century, most likely in Normandy or France, and later made its way to England with William the Conqueror in 1066. That's elite heritage right there. The Talbot wasn't built for speed, but its scenting ability was unmatched. With stubby legs, oversized paws, a barrel chest, and a curled tail, it was designed for relentless pursuit. Whether chasing game or fugitives, this dog is locked in. By the 1400s, Talbots weren't just working, they appeared in noble crests, family emblems, and even on early English pub signs. That's how iconic they were. But by the 1700s, hunting evolved. People wanted swifter horses, faster foxhounds, and sleeker beagles. The slower Talbot lost relevance. By the 18th century's end, the breed had quietly vanished, no fanfare, no farewell. Just gone but never erased from the scent hound bloodline. Sometimes, humans do pretty regretful things. Number 9. Sleek French Pointer. The Braque de Puy was a sleek, sharp French pointer once prized in hunting circles for its grace and drive. Bred in the early 1800s by brothers Omer and Narcisse de Puy, it was developed by crossing the local Braque Français with greyhounds, or possibly Slois, to add speed and stamina. The result? A long-legged pointer with all the Braque's hunting instinct and a hound's athleticism. These dogs stood 26 to 27 inches at the shoulder and weighed around 50 to 62 pounds. They wore mostly white coats with dark brown patches, undocked tails, and a refined silhouette. Fast, focused, and built for the French uplands, they thrived in open marshes and plains. Though always rare, they were known among French hunters through the 19th and early 20th centuries. Wars, shifting hunting styles, and a lack of preservation led to their slow decline. By the 1940s, they were nearly gone. Some claim isolated survivors lingered into the 70s, but officially, the Braque de Puy is extinct. So, is it totally gone? Well, if you see one, let us know. Number 8. Kitchen Wheel Hero. The Turnspit Dog, known as the Kitchen Wheel Hero, was a small yet relentless breed that powered British kitchens from the 1500s until it faded out in the early 1900s. These long-bodied, short-legged pups, standing just 8 to 12 inches tall and weighing 15 to 25 pounds, were specifically bred to run non-stop inside wooden wheels beside the hearth, rotating meat slowly over an open flame. They had bowed front legs, large skulls, floppy ears, and sometimes mismatched eyes. Strange features, but made for the job. They often worked in pairs, rotating shifts through hours of labor. Some cooks even tossed hot coals into the wheel or tightened their collars to force faster movement. On Sundays, they went to church as foot warmers until they bolted when wheel was mentioned in sermons. By 1750, they were common in Britain and even seen in Pennsylvania, but the invention of mechanical roasting jacks made them obsolete. By 1900, they quietly disappeared just like other dog breeds we've mentioned before. Number 7. Silky Show Pioneer. The Paisley Terrier was a refined, long-coated breed from 19th century Scotland, developed around the Clyde Valley near Paisley, a polished offshoot of the rugged Skye Terrier. It weighed around 15 pounds and stood roughly 10 inches tall. Its defining feature? An elegant blue and tan coat that flowed to the ground in silky strands. These terriers weren't bred to chase rats. They were show dogs made to impress. Ladies of the Victorian era adored them, often tying their hair up or placing them on display stands during exhibitions. Though admired for their grace, their coats required constant care, making them impractical for many owners. By the 1880s, other breeds with easier grooming routines began taking over. Even as the Kennel Club started acknowledging them in 1888, their decline had already begun. The rising popularity of their descendant, the Yorkshire Terrier, sealed their fate. By the 1930s, the Paisley Terrier had vanished, but their genetic threads still shine in the Silky Terrier and Australian Terrier today. Number 6. Scottish Blue Brawler. The Blue Poll Terrier was a fierce, smooth-coated brawler from Scotland, known for its game spirit and rugged looks. Standing around 20 inches tall and weighing about 45 pounds, this muscular dog typically wore a slate blue coat but also came in brindle or reddish tones. Its wide head, cropped ears, and dark hazel eyes gave it a bold, intimidating stare. Legend credits John Paul Jones, Scottish-born American naval fighter, with bringing them to Kirkcudbright around 1770. Gypsy communities and underground fighting circuits in Kirkintilloch, Tillicoultry, and Glasgow bred them for calculated aggression and intelligence. They ruled dog pits across the 18th and 19th centuries, but never gained formal recognition. As interest declined and no breed standard was established, they vanished quietly by the late 1800s. Despite extinction, the Blue Poll passed on its rare coat color gene. That blue hue survives in Staffordshire Bull Terriers, American Staffordshire Terriers, and some Pit Bull bloodlines today, a gritty, ghosted chapter in Bulldog history. Number 5. The Border Pioneer. The Cumberland Sheepdog was a sharp, mid-sized herding breed from northern England working primarily across Cumberland, Yorkshire, and the borderlands with Scotland. It weighed around 40 to 50 pounds, stood roughly 20 inches tall, and sported a black coat with white markings. Physically, it had a broad, flat skull, muscular build, and semi-erect ears, traits that made it both athletic and alert. What set it apart, though, was its quiet, controlled herding style. It didn't bark, it moved stock with precision. That no-nonsense approach made it a favorite among shepherds who worked long days in the field. Sound familiar? Its herding style heavily resembled that of today's Border Collie. In fact, many believe the Cumberland was a key foundation breed for both the Border Collie and Australian Shepherd. By the early 1900s, the breed had gradually merged into others, often simply labeled as Border Collies. It quietly disappeared from records, but its work ethic, intelligence, and agility live on in modern herding dogs. Number 4. Northern Coyote Companion. The Hare Indian Dog, sometimes called the Mackenzie River Dog, was a one-of-a-kind blend between domestic dogs, coyotes, and possibly wolves, bred by the Hare people of northern Canada between the 16th and 19th centuries. These medium-sized, slender dogs stood about 17 to 19 inches tall, sporting long, thick coats, usually white with gray or tan blotches, erect ears and tails curled upward. Built for the subarctic, they had lean frames, webbed feet, and endurance to spare. Used for checking traps, chasing foxes, hauling gear, and navigating snow, they were functional and clever. Temperament-wise, they leaned toward affectionate but independent. Some even described them as cat-like, rarely barking but frequently howling. As rifles replaced traditional hunting and other dogs arrived, the breed lost relevance. They were gradually crossbred with other local sled and working dogs. By the early 1900s, they were considered extinct. Still, their DNA and story live on in native Canadian breeds like the Alaskan Malamute and in oral traditions passed down. Number 3. River Retriever. The Tweed Water Spaniel, aka the Tweed Spaniel or Ladykirk Spaniel, was a curly-coated, liver-colored water dog that thrived near the River Tweed along the Scottish-English border. Emerging in the early 1800s, it likely descended from crosses between local water dogs and the now extinct St. John's water dog. With webbed feet, thick, wavy fur, and a strong medium build, these pups were perfect for cold water retrieves. Known for their loyalty, intelligence, and non-stop energy, they served hunters and fishermen near Berwick-upon-Tweed. But their biggest legacy? In the 1860s, Lord Tweedmouth used a Tweed Water Spaniel named Belle and a yellow retriever named Noose to create the first litter of golden retrievers. They also contributed genes to the curly-coated retriever and possibly others. As breed standards shifted and pure retrievers gained ground, Tweeds weren't preserved. By the early 1900s, they were gone. Still, every golden tail wagging in water today owes a quiet nod to this vanished swimmer. Number 2. Fisherman Sip's OG Pup. The St. John's Water Dog, also called the Lesser Newfoundland, originated in 16th century Newfoundland as a rugged fishing partner. It was medium-sized, usually black with white markings and equipped with a thick waterproof coat and webbed feet, ideal for life on the sea. These dogs retrieved nets, fetched lines, and even jumped into icy waters to pull in lost fish. They were essential to European settlers and local fishermen. By the early 1800s, the breed began arriving in Britain, where nobles like the Earl of Malmesbury and the Duke of Buccleuch admired them for waterfowl hunting. Their genes helped create modern retrievers like the Labrador Retriever, Golden Retriever, Flat-Coated Retriever, and Chesapeake Bay Retriever. Back home, their population declined due to harsh dog taxes and strict British import laws. Crossbreeding in Britain finished the job. By the 1970s or early 1980s, the last pure St. John's water dogs were gone. Their legacy? Every splash-loving retriever today still carries their DNA. Number 1. Alpine Giant Pioneer. The Alpine Mastiff was a massive, ancient, Molossus-type dog believed to roam the Alps as far back as 500 BC, reaching its prime in the Middle Ages, especially across northern Europe and the Swiss-Italian mountain zones. Though not a recognized breed by modern standards, this giant laid the genetic foundation for the English Mastiff and the St. Bernard. In 1829, a brindle beast named Lamy stole the spotlight in London, touted as the biggest dog in England. Owned by aristocrat William Cavendish, Lamy lived at Chatsworth House, standing over 39 inches at the shoulder and tipping the scales at nearly 350 pounds. These dogs were the original Alpine guardians, bigger than today's giants, with unmatched presence and loyalty. But by the 1800s, breeders began crossing them into evolving breeds. By mid-century, the pure Alpine Mastiff had vanished. While extinct, its genes live on in every gentle Mastiff and rescue St. Bernard, giants who trace their calm strength to this high-altitude legend. If you've enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon in the next one.